Hello, and welcome to another Rouge unit of the Reek. And today we're going to be treading some old ground and covering a unit we actually talked about before in Unit of the Reek number 95. So it's going to be a little bit of a refresher over, well, the past 6 years. Anyway, we're talking about the MI-26 Gruzovoi today. The Russians like large helicopters. In the 50s they had the MI-6, but eventually there was a need for something bigger. In the 60s, they'd end up experimenting with the V-12 helicopter, and as you can see by the pictures, it's kind of insane. They only ever built 2 of them, and it never really got anywhere, so they went back to the drawing board, and by the late 70s, they came up with the MI-26, which entered into service in the early 80s, and by today, there'd be just about 300 of these helicopters built. Even though the MI-26 may not be as comparable compared to the V-12, it's still a chunky boy. It's around 40 meters long, it can carry 20 tons of cargo, and put in perspective, around 80 combat troops. So pretty much almost a company size worth of infantry. And as a heavy lift helicopter, as you may guess, it's mainly used in the logistical sense of just transferring a lot of stuff to and from different locations. You know, not just in a militaristic role, it's also been used by civilian companies from around the world, and also it was used during the Chernobyl disaster as well to help mitigate, well, that mess. It's also still in use today. I think some of you may have seen footage of MI-26s resupplying Russian troops towards the Ukrainian front line. In battle, the MI-26 Gruzovoi is a 185-point supply helicopter available to the VDV and KDA divisions, and it has, actually it doesn't have any weapons. It doesn't really have much armor either, so let's just go down to the miscellaneous stats. So, it has 15 HP, 20% ECM, it has 0 advanced deployment, bad optics, a speed of 270 km an hour, 6,000 supply, bad stealth, and surprisingly enough, 0 road speed. So, in battle, currently, the MI-26 is the closest thing we have to an FOB currently in Warno. I do believe they are planning to add FOBs before the game is released. I hope they do anyway. They're quite an integral unit. However, it's not that bad, as the MI-26 is a big honking supply flying depot. With 6,000 supply available, you can pretty much rearm your entire army pretty damn easily. And also, the MI-26 is currently the most cost-effective supply unit in the entire game. If we break it down points per supply, you get roughly 32.5 supply for every point invested in the helicopter. Compared to the MI-8, you get roughly 25 supply per point spent. And this is pretty much a standard disposition between all supply units in game. The more expensive it is, the more cost effective they are in regards to supply per point. For example, the Ural, 28.5 supply a point, the MTLB, only 25 supply per point. However, supply units aren't just about cost effectiveness per point given, because there's also the opportunity and upfront cost of having to buy the MI-26. And as much as I love this unit, it's not really that effective in 1v1s, especially if you're not bringing a whole heap of artillery. You can frankly get on by just by using regular supply trucks, and especially considering that a regular supply truck is more cheaper per initial investment, and most of the time in 1v1s you're usually just needing to resupply a single artillery unit, maybe some ATGM infantry or a tank here and there to repair. Just getting that quick, 30-20 point supply truck up and operational so you can get back to the front line and start blasting is pretty damn important. While buying an MI-26 will eventually pay itself off, but you're losing buying extra units on the front line, and in 1v1s that's extremely critical. However, in team games, the MI-26 is quite a different beast, as it's really damn useful, because it's not just you who have to get supplied, your teammates would also like some supplies as well. And if you want to pretend to be a support deck in Warno, well, the MI-26 in team games is pretty much that. And the nice thing is, compared to FOBs, if your teammates are being dicks and stealing all your supply, well, you can just fly away. And also you can use the MI-26 just in general as a good intermediate supply base. Of course, if they eventually add FOBs, you'd have to drive all the way back. But the MI-26 you can keep somewhat close to the front line, but not too close. And then you could use supply trucks to go back and forth to keep your frontline units operational. You also get pretty good availability with the MI-26. You get 2 per card, and you get 2 cards of these in each stacks. Once again, you probably won't need that many. 1 card is more than enough in most circumstances, unless you're bringing a whole heap of heavy artillery. Also, as a quick note, this unit is incredibly survivable with 15 HP and 20% ECM. If for whatever reason you are using this as a frontline supply unit, you do have a good chance of actually tanking quite a few sound missiles before going down. It's not entirely realistic, but this is a game after all. Overall, the MI-26 is an incredibly cool helicopter. I want to take some time to appreciate the absolute size of this lad, because it completely dwarfs tanks and infantry units alike when you actually have this thing landed. It's honestly crazy people managed to make such a flying machine actually work by, well, beating the shit out of the air enough to convince gravity to let this thing go upwards. However, on the more practical gameplay level, if you need a bunch of supplies, and you need them now in a big, flying, fast, mean, lean supply machine, the MI-26 is not a bad choice. It's just a little bit expensive for sometimes when you just need only a little bit of supply. And well, I'm leaving it off here. This has been another Angry Unit of the Week. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as usual, please just take it easy.